Hi, Dave Zimmerman here, chop wood, carry water. And so I've been a trainer and fitness instructor for quite a long time, into the decades now. And as we're in the middle of staying at home for COVID-19, I've been taking stock myself and of all the things that I teach. The first video that I wanted to try to get out to y'all is one on Tai Chi, because I feel like it's particularly an important and special tool for times like these. And again, this is a way for us all to do some self-care, and I think in these times of stress that this is a wonderful way to deal with stress, to address stress, and I want to make it really clear that I think that any practice, we're going to call this a practice in quotes, any practice worth its salt, the goal is not to eliminate stress. We all have stress. We're all gonna have stress. And if you look at the list of big stressors in people's lives, I think that oftentimes it's really wonderful experiences that will cause stress, as well as ones that we might think of as more negative. You know, we want to have those rich experiences in our lives, and a mentor of mine used to say that we have some givens in our lives, and that with those givens, those are things that are just in our lives that, for good or bad, we don't have control over, and that and then we also have some things in our lives that we do have some say over. And again, there's an art, I think, to living within the balance of those energies. And when we're faced with these stressors like now, we sometimes end up in kind of a fight or flight mode, or sort of anxious. And this same mentor of mine, I think, always wonderfully used to point out that we do a practice like Tai Chi because it gives us a third option as well, and that is to flow. So we can fight, we can flee, or we can flow. So kind of living with those givens, recognizing even that we have some stressors, but not piling stress on top of the stress we already have, and learning how to just be with our breath, be with our current situation. And so with that in mind, be patient and persistent in your practice, and that goes for your life as well. As we're moving through, give yourself a lot of grace, move slowly, breathe naturally, don't strain. And again, I think right now that all those things apply really well to life as well. If you haven't written that great American novel since you've been home, don't sweat it. Maybe start writing, write a little bit, but don't put too much pressure on yourself right now to do the latest and greatest. So be here with today. The other nice thing about Tai Chi that's perfect for right now, you don't need any equipment. You don't need any special clothes. You don't need a huge space. There's actually a story, kind of an old story, that with Tai Chi, all you need is the space that you have with a horse stall, which is about what I've got here today. I'm hoping that we'll do one of these outside soon. And if you have that opportunity, especially if it's a nice day, get outside, do this outside, get some fresh air, get some sunshine. Today, we're going to be doing this in a smaller space. You're going to see I'm going to modify some of these movements. Some of you, if you're familiar with the 24 movement form, you're going to see that I'm taking some smaller steps and making some adaptations. But I want to keep today pretty short and sweet And so we're going to do a warm-up. We're going to do some just flow sort of staple movements, I like to call them, the things I hands down do the most, even more than doing the form itself. And then we'll walk through a round of the form. Shoes. Let's talk about that real quick. You may do this without shoes. You may do this with shoes, especially if you've got some foot issues. Maybe you've got an orthotic. Maybe that feels really important to you to make sure you keep that orthotic on. That's just fine. What we want to practice is grounding. So you want to act as if you're not wearing shoes, whether or not you are. Imagine you're standing in sand. Maybe even grip the floor a little bit to start with, but then relax and sink those footprints into the sand and carry those footprints with you. Place them down every time we take another step. And with that, we'll get started here. Kind of sneaking up on our Tai Chi practice. So we want to move slowly. Don't want to strain again. And we're just going to start moving the joints. Nothing too formal yet. You can start to think about some of the things that you want to include in your practice. One of those is tongue placement. The tongue placement actually is looked at as pretty important in the practice. I'm just nodding my chin toward my chest and lifting my head right now. I'm going to move into rotating side to side. Do extra of any of these if you feel you need it. So back to the tongue placement. The tongue placement, we want to put the tip of your tongue right at the roof of your mouth. Rest that gently at the roof of your mouth, either right behind your teeth, or if you go a little back from there, you can get to where the roof of your mouth just starts to become very concave. And we want to just gently rest your tongue at that point. If you're new to all of this, you may not be in practice with that. You may find you get into the practice and you're not actually doing that. That's okay. Just every time you check in regularly, and every time you check in, if you notice that you're not doing that, just go back to that tongue placement. One of the nice things about that, keeps you from clenching your jaw. And lifting an ear toward the sky here, lifting an ear toward the sky. Next one, we're going to roll the shoulders. Just checking in with your body here today. Again, we want to just take stock. How are you feeling today? What's going on? Rolling those shoulders. See how that feels. Again, do extra if you need to. We're going to reach up toward the sky and then come back down. You can maybe see that I'm coming up onto my toes. Actually, I can't see my feet there. I'm going to adjust my camera. And if you feel comfortable coming up onto those toes, feel free to do that. If you're more comfortable and would prefer to keep those feet flat, please do that. In either case, anytime we start growing upward, think of yourself like a tree. We want to extend our roots down deeper into the ground when we grow upward. Moving out to a wider stance now here. Turning the hips. I'm shifting the weight. I'm playing with the idea of full and empty in the legs. Full leg, empty leg. Shifting back and forth. Just let the neck and shoulders relax. Let those arms go along for the ride here. And moving to about hip or shoulder width here, wherever you're comfortable with your stance. Warming those kidneys, warming that low back area. Hands on the hips. I'm going to circle the hips. Again, keeping in mind you don't want to strain. Certainly don't want any of these movements to be painful. If they are, skip them. Go back to the last one. Wait for us to get to the next one. Or you can modify however you need to modify. I'm circling those hips in that opposite direction now. Bringing those feet closer together and warming the knees. Get that good energy much for your knees. And then standing on a single leg, you can keep those toes on the ground and circle the ankle. Or you can pick that foot right up off of the floor. Make sure you get both directions. Flex the foot. Point the toes. And shake that ankle up. On the other side, circling the ankle. Flex the foot, or sorry, reverse the direction. Flex the foot, point the toes, and shake that ankle out. Lastly here, just shaking out those wrists and arms here. Again, let the shoulders relax. I've moved out to a wider stance now, again, hip or shoulder width. And we're going to get a little more formal here now about our Tai Chi. So moving from our warm-up into our kind of core practice. I'm going to let those arms hang at the sides. It's like I'm sitting on a horse here. We call this horse stance. And so that cushion of air, the air around me, we want to let that take on some substance here and act as if you're moving through very dense air here as we open the door. So again, when I say this is part of the formal practice, that's not to make this scary or tensing or to take it too seriously. But when we move into the formal practice, this first movement, opening the door, it's about really setting the tone of the practice. Really tuning into the breath, opening up to right here, right now. This moment, this space that you're in, this breath. Notice the quality of the inhale, the quality of the exhale. Not judging it, but just observing it. Bringing those feet closer together. I'm going to cross the wrists here. This is Kai Shing. We're going to step back. Whenever we step, test the floor first. Then we're going to slowly pour that weight from one leg to the other. And reversing that weight shift, that weight transfer. And it's as if your body were one big lung meter, sending out that old breath and inviting in that new breath, breathing all the way out to the fingertips, to the arches of the feet. You go at your pace here. Remember, natural breathing. I'm going to do one more on each side. Opening up the hands and feet here, back to that horse stance. And growing upward, lengthening out, supporting heaven like a pillar. Love this movement for how it illustrates our body's natural ability to both expand and to gently gently contract as well, finding that elasticity to every cell of the body. We're going to do that one more time. Now, this next one, I'm going to show you from both directions, both facing the camera here and facing away, so that you can get a sense of the direction of this. But let's start with me facing you. I'm warming my hands up here. Feel free to move to the insides of the arms here as well. We're just trying to kind of wake things up. If you get a sense of almost kind of creating a static electricity, wonderful. If not, we've got some visuals you can play with too. So, but looking for any sensation you might find here as you bring those arms, start far apart, bring those arms slowly closer together. At some point, if you're not feeling that sort of staticky feeling, imagine a soap bubble here in your hands. I'm going to gather that up. I'm on my left side right now, and I'm going to step forward with that right foot, and I'm going to let that left foot turn out. We call this bow stance. Bow is in like a bow and arrow, where one leg is straight, the other one is bent when we get to the far point of that. Now I'm going to turn this around so you can see this from the other way. Noticing as I shift to the right here, predominantly to the right, that right hand comes across the top. As I'm shifting to the left, now that left hand is on the top of that imaginary soap bubble. Play it with different sizes. Make it a little smaller, make it a little larger. See how that feels. Imagine that you're on a rolling stool here, sitting down on that rolling stool. Remember that cushion of air underneath you. One more time. Holding the ball on the left. Feeling the right side now. Holding the ball. Notice my right hand on top when I'm holding that ball on the right. Stepping forward. That left foot with the right. Turn out. I'm going to do that one more time. Moving out to a wider stance now. I'm going to turn around so you can see this from the front. This is snake creeps down. Now notice, watch my zipper line here. Straight spine is the idea. It's another one of our essentials, I'm going to say, with our Tai Chis. Imagine a cord at the crown of your head and a weight at your tailbone, small weight at your tailbone, in addition to those roots at the feet. So we're being drawn in both directions, right? I've got grounded and rooted. I've got growing upward, but then I've also got that small weight at the tailbone to really help keep that spine in traction and nice and long. So when I do a movement here, I'm going to move those hips over and come down. And you can see that essentially I'm keeping that spine upright. Remember not to strain, but as you get more warmed up, you may make this a little bigger. Strain is not the same as work. Remember that. A little bit of work is okay here. But when we start straining too much, you're going to probably find that you want to pitch forward with your head and with your shoulders. We want to keep those up, sinking down and coming over. When we add the arms here, I'm going to form a hook hand. That's all fingers coming together on one side. Flat hand on the other side. Snake creeps down, alternating signs with that. We're going to do that one more time on each side. Take a break whenever you need it here. Anything starting to feel like strain, just hit the pause button. You don't even have to hit the pause button literally on the video. Just hit your own pause button. Take a little break. Catch your breath. Restore. Sinking down here. Moving back together with those feet. Now, this is normally the time, for those of you who've been to my class, you know this is normally the time we would do a breakdown of, a detailed breakdown of one to several of our Tai Chi movements. Today, we're just gonna move through the Tai Chi form. So if you've never done this, do the best you can. Make up movements where you need to. I think there's something a little magical about each of these positions. But that's not the heart of the magic. The heart of the magic of this is really, again, moving slowly, breathing naturally, moving as if the air had some resistance, getting those slow weight shifts. That's really the heart of this. So if you completely make up your own form, and that's its own practice as well, as to actually just move sort of spontaneously in Tai Chi. And if you end up making up your own movements here, that's great. Know that if you're trying to follow along here as best you can, there's some places where we hold the ball, and when we hold the ball, when I'm on that left side, I hold the ball with my left hand on the top. When I hold the ball on the right, I have that right hand on the top. That can be a nice place to catch up. Today, I'm going to do this facing the camera. So you're going to have to do some translation of this. If you're trying to follow left, right, I know this is not the best of all worlds, but you're going to hear me a lot better as I get my microphone system set up differently. On some of these days, as I make these videos, I want to reverse this as well, so you can see this from both sides. But this way, you'll get this kind of front view for these first few movements. And so one suggestion, if you're really struggling with this, I've actually had students in the past who've taken that video and even put it in front of a mirror so that they can see it sort of in reverse and get the directions the right way. So play with what you need to here. When I go today, when I'm saying left, I'm going to be on my left. I'm going to the left. So this is not a mirror image that I'm presenting to you right now. Having said that, I'm going to start with those feet together. And I'm going to take just a moment with my hands over my center. Lower dantian here. If you place your thumb in your belly button, place the hand over the lower abdomen, and we put the other hand on top. This is the center of your body. And we want to start to just be more aware of that place, that space in our body. And if your first observation is just noticing that that's an area you don't have a lot of awareness of, that's just fine. Where the mind goes, the chi flows. We want to just put our awareness there. sides. So stepping to the left, full shift to the left, opening the door. Holding the ball 3 times. I'm going to part the wild horse's mane. Now you can take larger steps, especially if you've got a larger space, but we want to be able to flow from one leg to the other. Parting the horse's mane, number 2. Parting the horse's mane, number 3. Little modification here, but I'm half stepping in. This is white crane, spreading wings. 3 times I'm going to brush, knee, and push. I'm going to swing out just a little wider than sometimes I do. I'm getting pretty close to the wall here. Rock back, turn out. Brush, knee, and push, number 2. Brush, knee, push, number 3. And I half step in to play the pipa. 6 steps backward here. Repulse monkey. Notice that spine still stays upright. Don't make that step so big that you lose that upright spine. I'm going to keep them pretty small here with my space limitations. 6 times we do that. This is number 3. This is grasping the sparrow's tail to the left. So at the wrist, I'm going to push with a flat hand. Come back. Around to that opposite side, stepping to the right, reaching up. So now I've got a hook hand with that left hand. This is grasping the sparrow's tail. Backhand loops. I push. Single whip, and waving hands like clouds. Three times. Single whip and single whip. I've got a hook hand here on the right and a flat hand on the left. This is high pat on horse. It's an empty step with the left toes. Step left and kick right. Boxing 2 ears. Shift into the left. This is step right and kick left. Snake creeps down. And golden pheasant stands on the left leg. Snake creeps down, this time to the right. And golden pheasant stands on one leg. Holding the ball. This is fair maiden looking at the shuttles. So it's as if holding the ball, opening a loom, and pushing a shuttle through that loom. Looking for a needle. The bottom of the C is an empty step with the left toes. Even though we're bending at the hip here, keep that back nice and flat. Flashing the arms. Deflect, parry, and punch. Crossing the wrists is embrace tiger. And return to mountain. Bringing some of that focus back to that center. Sinking right down into the earth here. Step those feet close together. I thank you all for putting up with, thank you in advance for putting up with any weirdness in this video as far as I'm working out all my technicals and that kind of thing. Hopefully so I'm a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. And I want to just say thanks for watching. Hopefully more to come soon here. Keep watching for them. And stay safe. Stay safe. Practice your social distancing. And do your Tai Chi. Keep that lymph system. That's one of the things I love about this practice. Keep that lymph system moving. Keep that immune system working. And that's really a large part of Tai Chi, is about just really almost getting your ego self out of the way and letting your body do what it knows how to do. You know, getting it into that relaxed state where it knows what to do. You don't have to tell your heart to beat. It does, and it keeps going. And so, again, use this to take stock. Listen to that heartbeat. Listen to that breathing while you're moving. And we'll see you again soon.